This is the MHS Pawdcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS. I'm Kalegi. After the school announcements, I'll first be joined by English teacher and director Miss Harmon to promote this year's upcoming fall play, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Then Josh Hyman and I preview the highly anticipated upcoming Metuchen High School winter sports season. But before all that, here are the announcements from Sarah Terracina.
Thank you, Eddie. The Senior Citizen Dinner and Fall Play Dress Rehearsal is at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, December 4th. Performances for the Fall Play, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, are Thursday the 5th, Friday the 6th, and Saturday the 7th at 7 p.m. Congratulations to Metuchen Girls Cross Country on finishing 16th overall at this past weekend's Meet of the Champions. Wednesday, December 11th, is the MHS Prom Fashion Show in the auditorium. The following day, December 12th, is the MHS Music Department's Winter Concert, beginning at 7 p.m. Mid-marking period for the second cycle is Friday, December 13th. Lastly, Saturday, December 14th, is the Metuchen High School Student Council Snowball from 7 to 10 p.m. Tickets will be on sale the week leading up. That's all for announcements. Back to you, Eddie.
Thank you. It's that time of year again. The MHS Fall Play is upon us. To preview the Metuchen High School's presentation of the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, it's a pleasure to be joined by English teacher and longtime Fall Play director, Miss Harmon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So how did you first develop an interest in theater?
Actually, when I think it was like in the fourth grade, there was like an audition for a community theater production, and I went and did it and got in it, and from The Sound of Music, right? And they needed kids, and so that's when I started. And ever since then, I've always, been loved theater.
So how did the opportunity first present itself to direct plays here at MHS, and why do you continue doing it now?
When I was first hired, our auditorium is named after a teacher who was really beloved here at school. Her name was Ina Schlein, and she had unfortunately passed away, and they had to hire someone new. And I knew this when I was coming in because it was someone that everybody loved and really respected it. And so I was hired basically to take her place. And so when I came in, I started right in with directing the plays, and I've just done it ever since.
What is your favorite part about being a director here at MHS?
I think, and it's the same, I feel this way about teaching as well. I like working with students. I really do. I like working with all kinds of people. I get to know students differently in theater than I do in the classroom. It's a different relationship, and that really is what makes it fun.
So something coming up right after Thanksgiving, because the play is the weekend after Thanksgiving. You've got Tech Week. People seem to not realize how much work goes in during Tech Week. Could you just go through that just so everyone understands? Because it's so busy that whole week for everyone involved in the production.
Yes, thank you. It is. It is. Yes, what we have to do the week before a show is basically what you need to do is be just running everything day after day. So the students or any performer, it's in any theater production, that everybody gets very used to what they need to be doing. And we start adding even more and more the technical aspects of theater. Sound, lights, props, if there's music, as there is in this show, an orchestra or music, so you have to put all those moving parts in place. And what I always try to do is make sure that my actors, and we're doing it right now, we're almost there, I always make sure the actors are ready before Tech Week, because then basically I start just letting them go, and then we put everything else in place.
So you mentioned the music, because in past years, typically the fall show is the straight play, but the spring is the musical. But this year there is going to be a musical in the fall. So why did you guys decide to incorporate a musical in the fall and then again in the spring?
I like to do different things in the fall. It's been fun to kind of experiment, and so we change it up. Like the last 2 years, we've done what you would call a straight play, meaning without music, or there's not singing as part of the script. But a few years ago, we did the musical called Avenue Q, and this particular musical, what's fun about these is they're smaller, and this is our chance to kind of do a smaller musical that we might not be able to do in the spring, even though we always add students, and it's always actually kind of big. It's usually very close in size. It gets close in size to the musical because we have just so many kids who are interested. But it's a chance to do maybe a little bit of a different, a little more out there kind of musical production. And we like to switch it up. We switch it up.
And you mentioned that that's one of the great things here in Metuchen. There are so many kids involved in Footlighters compared to other schools, so you really have a lot of flexibility with what you can do with the program.
Yes, it's really fun, yeah.
So, lastly, what is the play all about this year, and why should people attend?
Yes. So, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee is about a group of middle school students, and when this is originally done, adults are, it's not a children's play or anything, it's adults, or in our case, young adults, playing middle school students who are really smart, some of them kind of out there, eccentric, nerdy, and they're competing in a spelling bee. And as they compete, they get up and spell in a microphone, and there's wonderful, it's a very funny and really touching and all kinds of different aspects to it. And then in addition, we bring people up from the audience, and this is part of the original play, that every night there's 4 people who are pulled from the audience, and so each night it changes. It involves improv. There's a series of all kinds of funny lines, and we also, that you add in each night, so each night the show changes. And then also we're incorporating, you are supposed to do this, we're incorporating things from the news and pop culture right now, and so the play has a base to it, but each night it's something a little bit different.
Sounds like a very unique production. So when is the presentations of this play?
It is the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday after Thanksgiving, and you and I discussed this. What's the Thursday? I can't remember the date.
The Thursday is the 5th.
Thank you. It's Thursday the 5th, Friday the 6th, Saturday the 7th, and it's 7 o'clock in the auditorium. And if you, we have our website, the Footlighters website, which you can find. It's online. If people would like to buy tickets in advance, $12 in advance and $15 at the door.
So that's about all the time we have. Ms. Harmon, thank you for joining us on the MHS Podcast.
Thank you.
When we come back, Josh Hyman will join us for a Metuchen High School winter sports preview. I'm Eddie Kalegi. This is the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS.
Having trouble seeing the board in class? Do you need safety glasses for your school sport? If you answered yes to either of these questions, head over to Optique Unique, the eyeglass store at 406 Main Street in Metuchen. Optique Unique does it all. Not only do they offer eyewear for all ages, they also sell sports-specific safety glasses for kids and adults. Call them at 732-321-2020. That's 732-321-2020, or visit OptiqueUnique.com. Do you want to build character, build confidence, or even build yourself? All that and more can be accomplished at the Black Belt Institute at 23 New Street, right here in Metuchen. Students of all ages have been able to learn respect, discipline, fitness, and self-defense from their experienced instructors for over 20 years. Whether you're an adult looking for stress reduction or know someone young who has interest in Taekwondo, the Black Belt Institute is the place to go. The Institute takes a fun approach at teaching the rules of self-defense, instilling in their students an I-can-do-it attitude. Interested in taking a class? Call them at 732-205-9797 or visit their website at blackbeltinst.com. Once again, that's 732-205-9797 or blackbeltinst.com. The Black Belt Institute, Metuchen's leader in martial arts and fitness. The MHS Podcast is also sponsored by Allstate Insurance at 63 Pearl Street in Metuchen. Allstate, are you in good hands?
Welcome back to the MHS Podcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School. I'm Josh Hyman.
And I'm Eddie Kalegi.
As we near the month of December, the MHS winter sports season is set to begin, and we can definitely be hopeful of some strong performances for all MHS winter teams. Beginning with the boys basketball team, they battled to a 14-12 record last year and had much success in the GMC tournament, taking New Brunswick to overtime in the second round. What can we expect this season?
Yeah, I mean, they really impressed us at the end of the year last year. Got off to a slow start, but then the fact that they almost eliminated New Brunswick, who's always one of the powerhouses with St. Joseph's and Piscataway in the GMC and boys basketball. The roster was pretty young last year, so now that the players are more experienced, we can expect some more growth. One key senior is Colin Qualls, and he'll be accompanied by a strong core of junior players, headlined by Luke Schleck, Logan Grice, Jai Dreher. The team also adds junior transfer Dom Chiappa from Point Pleasant Borough, so it shall be interesting how they work him into the lineup this year. So there's a lot of talent scattered throughout the roster. So for the team under Coach Jensen, they have to avoid burying themselves in big holes early in games, because there were a couple games we broadcasted last year where they were down like 10 points in the first quarter, and it proved to be an insurmountable deficit. So they got to really try to just start out strong early and maintain throughout the game. And then I think they can find a lot of success and finish better than the 14-12 record they had last year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we go back to the games we broadcasted last year. They had no problem scoring points. What they really had difficulty with is, either keeping their leads or keeping the game in a close deficit. Because a lot of their games that they lost pretty big, and they just let the game get out of hand, sometimes a bit too early. But I definitely agree they need to keep it under control a bit more and just keep their heads in the game a bit longer, and they should be definitely just fine. And the girls' basketball team dealt with injuries and several departures from the previous last year's season. What can we expect from them this time around?
Yeah, last season was not the best for the girls. They went 7-18 and notably a 2-10 conference record. But I think we can expect some sort of improvement. You've got the senior Sam Anson, who's expected to dominate the paint. You've got the sophomore Molly Maleg, who had an incredible freshman year. And then paired with the juniors Chase Clavon, Noelle Leaf, those four together is a really strong core. The JV team also was dominant last year. They played so many games where they just completely blew away their opponents. So you're going to have players from that team, including Marin Boucher, Claire Kenny, Caitlin Waldron, all moving up to the varsity team that could help out. So I think the team could improve. This is the third year now with Coach Glutz. The first two have not been too good. After the year before that, they had Bryn Farrell that led them all the way to the semifinals in the GMC. So they're starting to climb back up. Last year was better than the year before, and I think this year could certainly prove to be better. But it's really going to be about Molly Maleg, who had such an incredible freshman year, to continue to grow.
Yeah, she had a star year on varsity as a freshman. Who knows what she's going to do this year? That she's definitely going to be one of the players to watch, along with Sam Anton, the senior. I think this team has done a lot of rebuilding and can definitely bounce back this year, especially, with the depth coming up from JV. I think they have a decent shot at getting a winning record at least.
So we'll talk about winter track now. Cross country, pretty good for the boys, very, very good for the girls, who made it to the Meet of Champions, finished 16th overall this past Saturday. Should be interesting to see how they translate onto the winter track. They have some different runners, because there are a couple runners on the team that then go to the swim team in the winter, and then
you also get a few kids from the other sports to come in,
along. When you talk about the boys, they did not have a great one last fall. This year was a little bit of an improvement, but Coach Halloran really stresses to
a little bit of an improvement is not enough for the boys track.
And if they don't do great in cross country, he wants them doing really great in winter track and spring track. So I think there's going to be a lot of motivation. And like you mentioned, they get runners who played other sports in the fall that come and join the team in the winter, and then especially in the spring. And then we could talk a little about the throwing team, since you're a part of that, because they get started in a couple weeks. The team was pretty solid last year.
Yeah, it was really good last year. Unfortunately, the throwing team is dealing with the departure of Chris Wu and Phil Marcille, two very amazing throwers. Chris Wu, I believe, got 20 points in the divisional meet in discus and shot put combined. Phil Marcille was the second javelin guy under Colin Qualls, so they're definitely going to be missed. But there's a very sizable sophomore class. We usually see in the MHS sports this year, at least, the junior class is very big, but the sophomore class for the throwers is actually pretty sizable. So it's very interesting to see the sophomores who competed well last year, such as Matthew Bianchini throwing varsity javelin this year, and it's going to be very important for those freshmen and sophomores to step up, where those key seniors have left the program from last year.
Yeah, lots of promise for the running, for the throwing team, the pole vault even. There's a few people, a few juniors, Paige Larson, Lucy Lee, Bailey Schaefer, all involved there. They were all chasing Sophie Rubin's records that she set a couple years ago. So definitely a lot at stake for this winter track team. And the girls just want to maintain what they did in the fall after a really impressive year making it to the Meet of Champions.
Yeah, definitely a lot at stake, but definitely a lot to compete for. And one of the bigger surprises of the 2018-2019 Metuchen sports season was the rebirth of our wrestling program. What can be expected this winter?
So I was actually looking into an article by Greg Tafaro of the Mercer Tafaro Foundation of the Courier News, and it was all about the team's exceptional growth under Coach Joe Kegel. It even details how Principal Paragallo and AD John Cathcart were actually unsure after the 2016-17 season whether the program could and would continue, but it did, and that's all changed, and you can credit a lot of that to Coach Kegel coming in. They were victorious in several dual meets and have proved to be a force to be reckoned with in the GMC. There's a couple big wrestling powers in the GMC, headlined by South Plainfield, but Metuchen's heading up there, and I mean it's still a work in progress. Third year under Coach Kegel, but they're definitely improving. You've got the senior Elijah Irvin, collection of juniors including Jacob Bazer, who will be key to the team's success this year. They did lose a lot of senior wrestlers, including Liam Walker in last year's graduating class, but there are a lot of wrestlers who can undoubtedly fill that void. And something I did want to mention that could be helpful. They have a lot of football players, I mentioned Irvin and Bazer, that have been doing a lot of weight training in the fall playing football, and I mean, they're more warmed up than anyone for this wrestling season coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Those multi-sport athletes are going to make a difference, with any sport. Those guys who have already been training, already getting stronger, they're definitely going to help you going into that season. And with this wrestling team, it's hard to believe that they were on the verge of folding. If you just look at last year's performance, it was incredible. You would never believe that at one point they were almost a failing program. The boys and girls swim teams were once again strong last winter, but could not get over the hump and win the GMC. What must they do to reach that mark this year?
Yeah, that may be true on the GMC edge of things, but they both did successfully qualify for the Central Jersey Group 3 tournament, and they both found success. We'll start with the boys. They'll now have some new leadership with Captain Julian Park graduating, but after reaching the group semis last year, I don't expect that much of a step back because they have a lot of strong swimmers in the junior and senior class. Losing Julian Park is notable and will leave a dent, but I think there's a lot of people capable of filling that void. As for the girls, they're led by junior Bridget Thomas. They can expect similar success. They didn't lose many upperclassmen to graduation. They were actually a pretty young team last year, so they're a little older now, and they're going to be motivated because they were ousted early from the NJSIAA tournament. They made it to the championship the year prior. This year they got knocked out early in the tournament, so expect them to really be motivated to try to get further. But during the regular season, the two teams combined to go an astounding 24-3 last year. They really, really were performing great against these other GMC schools, but just couldn't get that conference title. So I think it'd be expected that this year will rival that number from last year. But I mean, 24-3. I was amazed when I saw that because that's
pretty hard to beat. Yeah, 24-3 is really hard to beat, but a 24-3 record doesn't really mean much if you don't go all the way and win. And that's something I think this team needs to improve on because it's a different mindset when you switch from the regular season into the playoffs, into the postseason. You gotta like really think differently because those teams who are not doing so great, who are kind of unmotivated during the regular season, they get a fire under their feet and they start going, and you could easily get knocked off or get caught off guard by one of these lower teams. So I think that's a bit of a room for improvement from the swim team. But other than that, they don't really need to do much in terms of improvement with that 24-3 record.
Yep.
Year 2 with the Chris Giddis at the helm of the Metuchen Edison joint hockey team. After amassing just one win last season, how much can they improve this time around?
Yeah, year 1 with Coach Giddis wasn't great. They suffered a painstaking 15 losses. But let's just remember this is a pretty new team. Metuchen's just recently getting involved, and now a Metuchen man and Chris Giddis coaching the team. And it's really just such a unique program. It's really cool that they started this, that you have 3 schools. You've You've got Edison High, JP, and Metuchen all coming together to form this one hockey team. Expect their best chances to win this season to come in matchups against Kearney and Colonia, two teams they took to overtime last season. The team is definitely improving, and the progress they've made is really incredible. And it's really cool to see this sport slowly becoming more and more of a mainstay in Metuchen High School's culture.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think, the first season, you can't really expect too much from this team except for them to just go out and compete. And I think, to be fair, that's what they did perfectly fine. He got this team together. He organized players from 3 schools, which is, let's just say, that's no easy feat. Just doing that with players from 1 school is hard enough. I think we need to give Mr. Giddis a lot of credit here for what he's done. And, hopefully we do see some improvement this year going into the next season. He has experience under his belt with these kids and how to coach them and what the strategies are. And maybe one day, who knows, we might not even need to do a joint team. Now, that would be really interesting to see hockey, out of all sports, becoming something here at Metuchen High School.
Yes, it would definitely be interesting. So we'll have to see what happens. The winter sports season's starting up soon. Josh, just wanted to talk to you. We got Thanksgiving coming on Thursday. What's your plans for Thanksgiving?
It's usually just the same as last year. We go to my dad's side of the family, around noon, 1 o'clock, stay there for a few hours, then we go to my mom's side, to have more of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. What about you, Eddie?
I'm going over to my dad's side first for dinner, and then we're going over to my mom's side for dessert. Just incorporating everyone. It's going to be a good time. I always like watching the football, the parade. It's always a fun day on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's like the one day where everyone just pretends to be interested in football and parades and stuff like that, but it's all part of the culture. It's all good fun. Do you ever switch it up, going to your mom's house for dinner?
Yes, we do. We switch it up sometimes. This year we're going that way, but when you got both sides of the family, you gotta orchestrate it.
Yeah, you gotta make it fair. Yeah, yeah. My family, my dad's side at least, they switch off who hosts it, and we got taken out of the rotation 7 years ago, and my mom doesn't want to admit it, but she's kind of happy that she's taken off the rotation because, as you know, hosting Thanksgiving is a pretty big event, so it takes a lot of time. It's very demanding, so we're kind of happy we don't have to have it at our house anymore.
Well, that's about all the time we have today on the Metuchen High School podcast. A thank you to Miss Harmon, our guest today. For Sarah Terracina and Josh Hyman, I'm Eddie Kalegi. This is the Metuchen High School podcast, the online radio voice of MHS, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving.